Good evening. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Show Low City Council to order. By roll call, see that all council members are present with the exception Vice Mayor Brent Hatch and Council Member Leach that have been asked to be excused this evening. I'd like to welcome those of you who are with us tonight in the audience, as well as those who may be watching at home on City 56. We'd like to begin this evening by an invocation. I will offer the prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Council Member Crittenden. Those who'd like to join with us, please stand. Our dear, kind Heavenly Father, we're grateful for the opportunity we have to meet this evening in the favorable conditions that we find ourselves in. We're grateful for our community and for the citizens that live here and those who strive to make this a better place to live. We're grateful for the moisture that we have and that we've received and pray that it will continue. We're grateful for those people from this area who have given their lives and all of those servicemen and women who fight for our freedoms and our liberties that we hold sacred. Father, we pray that thou might comfort those people who have had tragedies in their lives, that they'll be able to come to understand the senseless acts of others or sometimes a selfish act, and that they'll be able to find comfort and peace in their life. We're grateful for all that thou hast done for us, and we pray that as we meet and deliberate this night, that we might be able to do so with thy guidance and direction. We're thankful for our city government and for the city people who work here, staff members and employees who are motivated and strive to make this a great place. We're grateful for the council members and councilwomen and pray that thou will be with them and their families this night. And these favors and blessings we pray for in the name of thy Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Crittenden. This evening, we'd like to begin with a call to the public. Any citizen desiring to speak on a matter that is not scheduled on the agenda may do so at this time. Know that your comments are limited to 3 minutes. Seeing nobody moved, I'll close call to the public and come back to the consent calendar. Is there any items that need to be polled or discussed on the consent calendar? Okay, those items are acceptance of Snow Creek Unit 2, Phase 1, and the minutes of the March 6, 2018 meeting. I'll look for a motion. We have a motion by Councilmember Crittenden, seconded by Councilwoman Kakavas. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 5-0. As far as new business tonight, item 7B has been pulled, and we will discuss that at another time. If there's anybody here on that item, we're sorry that you came. Well, we're glad you came, but we're sorry that this isn't going to be discussed tonight, okay, on there. We do have a consideration of award of a contract for supervisory control and data acquisition, SCADA control system. Mr. Cupp. Okay.
Approved 5-year capital improvements program, CIP, includes funding for necessary upgrades to the supervisor control and data acquisition system, SCADA, for the city's water system. The city owns and operates an extensive potable water distribution system consisting of wells, storage reservoirs, and booster pump stations. These facilities provide drinking water and fire protection to the residents of the city and surrounding areas. The fiscal year 2017-18 budget includes $130,000 to begin making upgrades to the SCADA system. The existing SCADA system has been installed over several years, and it incorporates various technologies and multiple integration companies and platforms. Technological advances make it necessary to upgrade the system to consolidate and standardize electrical control, instrumentation, and communication systems into a common, modern, and reliable control platform. This project will be completed in phases to fund the work over 5 years, and the funding for the remaining 4 years is also included in the capital improvements plan. In December 2017, staff prepared a request for qualifications and received responses from 6 interested companies. I believe that's a typo there. 7-member selection committee reviewed the statements of qualifications, and PACE Advanced Water Engineering was determined to be the highest ranked term. PACE, with whom the city has established a very good working relationship, was also the design firm that worked on the city's wastewater treatment plant upgrades. PACE also demonstrated a complete understanding of our existing SCADA system, and the company's approach includes using as much of the existing system as possible. Staff intends to use a single contract for this year and the 5 subsequent 4 years. And the future work will be presented to the council for approval as contract amendments to this original contract. The estimated total cost of this project over 5 years is $687,000. Staff recommends awarding the contract for supervisory control and data acquisition system to PACE Advanced Water Engineering in amount not to exceed $129,796. Now we'll go into our presentation here. I'm going to start with a little bit of background on how we went through the selection process for PACE. We released a design build services RFQ for SCADA system upgrades, project number W1118 on December 8th, 2017. It was published in the White Mountain Independent on December 8th and December 12th. We received 6 SOQs on January 5th, 2018. PACE ranked number 1 and was selected for negotiations. The city and PACE negotiated a proposal to be considered tonight by council. And as I said before, PACE was a design firm for the wastewater treatment plant project. They also designed, installed, and programmed the SCADA system for that wastewater treatment plant system as well. And with that, I'm going to turn the mic over to Mr. Krebs.
Mike, welcome. We're glad you're here this evening.
Thank you,
I want to
Mayor.
interject here. One of the things, we appreciate you coming, and we appreciate this not happening when we first had it on. It was one of the items, the yearly isn't as bad as the whole picture. When we look at the whole picture of, almost $700,000, we wanted to hear from you. So thank you for
Appreciate
being
that.
here.
Well, it's always nice to be up here in Sholo, and be good to be here with you, and thank you, Bill. So as I just push one of the buttons.
I think you pushed the one on that.
Okay.
You're going to design our technology system, and you're having problems with that mouse?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know how it is with the smartphones. That's why I have daughters that help me, do all that
For
stuff.
sure,
So,
for sure.
Yeah. So this is just to try to give you an idea of the kind of the mass of your system. We put this aerial up there to show, the different locations. If we look at from Public Works to some of the farthest points, there's 5 miles as the crow flies. So there's a lot of area and a lot of distance that your guys cover, and they have to go and check out, visibly check out each one of these pump stations and wells and everything. And I think they do it pretty much on a daily basis. And so what the SCADA will do is, as we walk through it, are just going to help alleviate a lot of that time that they may have to look at that, because they can see what's going on. And that's the beauty of the system. So just talking about the components that's out there, there's existing components. There's 9 tanks, 9 booster stations, and 16 wells of varying capacity and quality that are, out there in the system. And so there's a lot there, and it's also been acquired over a couple of different purchases. So you have different companies that set those up and had different ideas about how it should run this way, it should run this way. We should use this equipment, we should use that equipment. So getting some continuity with all of that is also going to be very beneficial to the overall community, the operations staff. As I mentioned, there's several different companies that had that. They had different pumps, valves, controls, lack of continuity, proprietary systems. So there are some proprietary systems within the controls that are there now. Well, to have one of those, you have to hire the exact person that put it in, and they always know that they they kind of got you, so they charge a lot more than what they should be. The system we're going to put in is not going to be proprietary. So it's, it's something that anybody can, there's safeguards on it, so nobody can get into it unless they know what they're doing. But I'm just saying, it doesn't have to be, us that's doing it just because we're doing it. So that's one of the things that's important for us. It needs to be flexible and it needs to be able to where you can get into it. There's really no overall SCADA that helps tie in the whole systems. There's some pieces that have SCADA, but again, it's not looking at the whole system. There's the miles of separations, as I mentioned, and again, as I mentioned, it takes time, manpower for that individual site inspections and that type of stuff. So again, remembering the system, it's all over the place, right? And you all probably know it better than I do. But I'm going to get to know it better. So the proposed improvements is we're going to evaluate the system, determine what we can utilize and what we need to replace, and then identify those specific items that we really need to get going. In our understanding, there's some places where there's some of the wells that are really important. They said, it'd be great to have the chlorine where it works automatically. And so there's just some different pieces, and this is where we want to come together with the staff and the operations staff and take our expertise and bring those together so we understand how they look at it, how they want it to operate. And so you bring those together and you work out a system that's consistently operating between all of the units. There's some old hardware. The TSX processors are old and they've been having problems with those. Those are one of the very first things that we're looking at replacing. Motorola PLCs, those are some of the proprietary units that are there. Put on additional IOs, inputs and outputs for improved communications so that at the screen, at the SCADA screen, they can see what the flows are, they can see what the tank levels are, they can understand which pumps are running, and if there's alarms, they can look at it and say, we understand that it's this pump that's having problems. And I'm going to show you a couple of SCADA screens from the wastewater plant, just to kind of give you an idea. And then new radios to improve the communications. There's been some issues there, and power monitoring equipment and power programming to help reduce costs from a power standpoint. So again, we're looking at saving some time and money with the updates of hardware, minimizing downtime and operational issues, eliminate proprietary equipment, provide the ease of operations, standardization of operations throughout the system. I've kind of mentioned these already a little bit. And establish virtual monitoring with SCADA, which means utilization of the internet and the types of things where they can operate it. But again, there's safeguards in it so that not just anyone can get into the system. So they can monitor the system without being on site. They can respond to calls and things on weekends and holidays. Automatic reporting so that they don't have to do a bunch of the reporting by hand. It will automatically load based off of the information and communication the system's doing. And then the ability to be able to do some blending. So some of the wells have high arsenic, some of them have selenium. And so as long as we blend those and have that, it'll improve the overall water quality and their ability to operate it. So here is a sample SCADA screen that's from the wastewater plant. And so, up on top, I'm not going to get into a lot of details of this, but basically on the bottom is kind of the main menu, and depending upon which piece of equipment you want to look at, you press a button. And when you press one, and if we were to press the one for the influent pump station, we would get a screen that looks like this with parameters. So it would tell you the water level. It would tell you what's the pump cycle, and just give a lot of data about what's going on with that system. It will tell you the hours that the pumps have been running, and that's useful for maintenance and those types of things. And it allows you to reset it, update it, just a lot of parameters that are helpful, understanding maybe tank levels and things like that. And then, so here's another screen. This is the actual detail of that screen. And so you can see in the lower left, there's pumps, right? So there's 3 pumps, and the one that's green is the one that's running, right? And they're all on automatic. That's why it says remote. And one is the lead, one is the lag, which means the programming allows it to run one, and then it runs the next one for a certain amount of time, then it runs the third one. That way they all get ran the same amount of time, and it's not just one pump running all the time. So, there's some thought process and things that you can do with the programming with the SCADA, which helps the overall operations. And at the top here with all the yellow, there's different alarms. So let's say it's a Sunday or something, and an alarm comes on with this lift station. And let's say it's the one that's running, it's flashing, and there's something wrong with it. Well, the operator can basically start another pump and shut that one down and make sure it stays shut down until Monday when they're back at work, and they can go check it out. So it's just kind of an overall help, and just helps them so they're not out there on weekends and holidays and things like that. Obviously, if something's catastrophic, they would need to be out there, but this just helps that. Again, this is just kind of another screen showing a piece of equipment and what's going on with that. And I think you get the idea from what we're talking about with that. Are there any questions? Yes, sir.
Councilmember Crittenden.
What part of the 129,000 is going to cover this?
Well, so the first part of it is, so because of it wanted to be phased over a 5-year period, so here's kind of a schedule of the different phases. And so in the beginning, what we're doing is changing processors. We're getting the processors so they're up to date. Then we're also doing the programming, and this was developed in order to be able to work with the budgeted item, the capital plan, right? And so we had to do some different things. And a lot of the SCADA is being done really in the second phase, but all of this is needed in order to get to that second phase. So we broke it up to get piece by piece. We are in the first phase, we are putting some programming in there for a report builder. So whatever data it is able to get now, we can bring that in on a report that will automatically pull the data together.
Okay.
So,
Councilmember Kelly, do you have a question?
Yeah, I did. How did you know?
You raised your hand.
I did? Thank you. I'm just joking with you. I know Ed would remember, but I don't know if anybody else here, maybe Bill or maybe not, but years and years and years ago, we had some kind of automated stuff going, and it failed. And our personnel was trusting in it and didn't go regularly check. And you remember, Ed, what I'm talking about? And we were right down to having to limit water or shut it off for certain neighborhoods or something one summer. Was this the same kind of equipment, or are we going to continue? I guess the question's for Bill. We're going to trust but verify? Are we going to have people checking this stuff to see? No alarm, but the tank is way down lower than it should be. What happened?
Yeah, I mean, we have staff that we do regular rounds. I think we would never eliminate our regular rounds. And the other thing, I think that the technology has probably gone quite a bit further since those days as well, so.
Were you here then? You know what I'm
I
talking?
don't recall that
I don't think you were.
situation, no, sir.
None of
This
us
was
was
a
here
long
then.
time ago. Huh?
None of us was here then. You're supposed to remember.
They didn't
those
have
things.
electricity back
No,
then, see?
no, we did have electricity. No, that's not true. But Ed, you remember.
I think you're referring to when one of the storage tanks got real low and we didn't know about it, and we couldn't catch up with the wells or something, but I don't know if that was tied to the skate. I just don't recall.
I don't know, but I just wanted to know, we're not just going to start relying on this and not have any personnel checking it at all. If it means they go 1/10 of the time and hours to check it because this is so reliable, and it is reliable, and that's good. But I didn't want to hear you say, no, we can put this in the bank and we don't have to go check it no more. I didn't want to hear that, and I didn't, and I'm glad I
We'll
didn't.
continue to have staff regularly visit the facilities to make sure that things are going well, not just with the equipment, but with fencing and gates and things like that that aren't connected to the SCADA system as well.
Thank you.
So, you bet.
Thank you.
And I apologize if it came across as that it would eliminate that. Obviously,
You didn't. I
yeah,
just wanted to
okay.
make sure we weren't planning to do that.
thank you.
I live very close to well number 7, and I will guarantee you that they have staff every day that go and check that. So, and I assume since they're doing that one, they do all of them. That's my observation.
Yes, that's true. I think what this SCADA system is going to do is give us greater ability to remotely control issues, especially in an emergency or an alarm situation. Like Mike said, we can turn a pump off, turn a well off, and turn another well on. Another thing that Mike also mentioned is that our ability to automate our blending so that we can use a low selenium well and blend it with a high selenium well so that we can meet all of the regulatory requirements for that. It'll be a lot more accurate, a lot more predictable.
Thank you.
So is that like year 2 or 3 that we're seeing some of the benefits of what we're doing, or do we have to wait clear till we're up into years 4 and 5?
Well, I think that the operations staff will see stuff right away with the first phase. And then for example, in the first phase, we're going to be spending a lot of time programming and working with staff, as I mentioned, to develop these programs for the tanks, for the booster stations, for the wells, so that they operate in a way that, that the staff is saying, this one's totally different than that one, so we can bring them and bring them together. So I think in the second phase, there's a lot more of the items that will bring it closer to where you're saying.
Have you found that with this technology, it has actually extended any life to certain wells, or overall the well life? Could we expect that to increase at all or anything like that possibly?
I can't say that I know an exact example of well life, but I can say that in general, like for the wastewater plant, it provides a more efficient operation in that it monitors, and I could go back to this chlorine or the wastewater plant, it monitors the outcome, and based on the outcome, it's adding or not adding, stuff to the water. So it's monitoring it better and providing for a more efficient usage of what's there.
Higher quality of end result.
Yes.
there.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions? Anybody else, any other?
Is he done? Are you done?
Yes,
with
so we're seeking
Okay.
council approval to move forward on phase 1.
it? Understand. I do then.
Hey, Councilmember Kelly.
The city's requirements are loaded with providing you with the necessary data or information that you have to do your job, and I can understand that. And it's so specific about what format we provide it to you in. I'm turning again back to Bill, who I know must have read this over and over. And do you know for a fact we're capable of providing it to them in the format that they need? It's going to be a contract that says we will do it. And if we don't, we're going to be subject to overage and hours and everything else. Standing back and looking at it, it looks like it's loaded with change orders. And I'm hoping you're going to tell me that we know we can provide them the information in the format that they need it in. Is that true?
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, about 3 weeks ago, we completed a months-long process of updating all of our well information and all of our well files. So we know what the hardware is that we have in the ground. We know what type of electronics we have as far as variable frequency drives, motor horsepower, pump sizes, and things like that. So we have a tremendous amount of very organized information right now. And as a matter of fact, Mr. Krebs and his associate, Mr. Smith, are up here hoping with this approval tonight that they can go to work tomorrow. And they've got time scheduled with Mr. Austin and Mr. Carpenter with our water department to start going through these sites one by one.
Do you have any doubt of where I was going with the question? I mean, it's clear to you that you've evaluated this and we can give them the information they need in the format that they require.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Based on what I know, I would echo what Mr. Kopp said, that I agree that you can give it to us in the format that's needed.
Thank you.
Okay. No other discussion. I'll look for a motion. Councilmember Crittenden.
I move to award the contract for the supervisory control and data acquisition SCADA control system to Pace Advanced Watering Engineering in an amount not to exceed $129,796 with a modification of 6 interested companies instead of 5.
We have a motion. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Kelly. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 5-0. Thank you. Appreciate it. You guys go to work now. No, thanks so much. So we appreciate you coming up here and presenting.
Have a
that
nice
to us
trip.
tonight. Next item is item 7C, consideration of concession agreement with Recreation Resource Management of America, Inc. for operation of Show Low Park. Mr. Brimhall.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. After the city acquired Show Low Lake Park in 2005, staff reviewed past agreements for its operation and analyzed how best to upgrade services and facilities. In March 2006, staff advertised a request for qualifications for companies interested in operating the campground and food and boat rental concession at Show Low Lake Park. Only one response was received from Recreation Resource Management, the same concessionaire that managed the Show Low Lake Park for Navajo County back when it belonged to Navajo County. Recreation Resource Management was awarded the contract in April 2006 and has been operating the park for the past 12 years. With the current concession agreement expiring in April 2018, staff advertised a request for proposals for operating Show Low Lake Park. Only one proposal was received from Recreation Resource Management. Recreation Resource Management is a national company that manages many park and campground facilities in Arizona and throughout the western United States. Per the terms of the concession agreement, the city will receive 10% of the concessionaire's adjusted gross receipts, less refunds and sales and rental taxes from operating the campground and park. The city will receive 5% of the adjusted gross receipts, less refunds and sales and rental taxes from boat rentals and food and beverage sales. Funding raised from usage fees is reinvested into projects at the campground. The two most recent projects consisted of constructing fire pits throughout the campground and repainting the main concession building and 2 medium-sized pavilions. The terms of the agreement include 2 5-year terms with 2 additional 1-year renewal options. With that, I'm available for questions.
Any questions, comments? Councilmember Crittenden.
I was by there yesterday. The boat landings that are out in the middle of the lake, is that a normal thing that they do?
I think during the wintertime it is, yeah. They'll get those reeled in and set up for the busy season here shortly.
Councilmember Alsop.
I move to approve the concession agreement with Recreation Resource Management of America, Inc. and operate the campground and food and boat rental concessions at Show Low Lake Park.
Motion. We have a second by Councilwoman Kukovas. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that pass 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Brimhall. Next item we have is summary of current events. Council members wishing to share any current events may do so at this time. Councilmember Alsop.
Thank you, Mayor. Attended a board meeting for the Meals on Wheels and Senior Center. Hope everybody enjoyed their food for the St. Patrick's Days. I know they prepared a lot of food, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it and like to come back. There's a lot more entertainment and stuff happening at the senior center in the next couple of months, and I'll be bringing some more information on that. And if you haven't been by the baseball Little League Park and the park itself and seeing all the new toys and games and pavers and the way it looks, I want to put all the thanks and gratitude out for staff for the hard work that they did out there and made it look really, really nice. And so I know they put a lot of work in that. And so kudos to them. Thank you, Jay.
Well, any other comments? Have no report. Turn the time to city manager.
Just to follow up a little bit on the projects we have going as Little League. The playground next to Little League was mentioned by Councilman Ossoff, is nearing completion. And with weather permitting, it should be completed in the next couple of weeks. And it's not quite ready to play on, so we appreciate everybody's patience while our crews can finish that project. Also, we have a city contractor that's begun construction on a sewer line extension on the east side of South White Mountain Road from Ellsworth Road to Hidden Way. Work will be done during the daytime hours, and it requires closing the outside lane along the northbound section of the road. This phase is expected to take approximately 90 days. We know there's some other ADOT crack sealing going on in the area, so it's caused some traffic delays, but the city project's on the east side of that highway, and if you have any questions on that, you can call our city engineer's office at 532-4090. A few things on recreation events. The Aquatic Center is hosting a glow-in-the-dark egg hunt this Friday, March 23rd. For teens 11 to 17 from 7 to 9 p.m. That'll be $3 each. And then on Saturday, March 24th, we have our 2K Bunny Dash open to all for $5. We'll check in at 8:30 at the senior field at City Park, followed by our annual candy scramble for children 0 to 10 years old with check-in at 9:30, and that's this Saturday at the senior field. And the library will teach teens 13 to 18 to create poems from using text from a Harry Potter book, Blackout Poetry, next Thursday, March 29th at 4 p.m. And recreation staff is selling tickets for the Show Night at Chase Field. On Saturday, April 21st, the Diamondbacks will play the San Diego Padres. Tickets are in the all-you-can-eat seats for $42 each. If you want tickets or need more information, you can call 532-4140. Thank you.
Thank you. Any scheduling of meetings? Just a reminder that we do have a meeting with the Shoalo School Board, a joint study session with them on Thursday evening at 6 p.m. in the Deuce Clubs room across the way. Yes.
The other meeting I'll mention is we're with the budget process on April 3rd at 6 p.m. We'll have a study session with the city council. That's before your next council meeting. And then on April 5th, that Thursday, we'll begin with a town hall here at the council chambers, followed by a council study session. So all those meetings are open to the public and all are held here in the council chambers. There's a schedule of all our budget meetings on our website at sholoaz.gov.
This time, we have an executive session that we need to go into for an evaluation of the city attorney and also the minutes of the March 6, 2018. I need a motion to move into executive session. I have a motion by Councilwoman Kakavas. Is there a second? Second by Councilmember Alsop. All those in favor? Any opposed? See that passed 5-0. Thank you for being here tonight. At this time, we'll move into executive session.